What's up, everybody? We are live right here. And what's up, David? How you doing?
Doing good.
Okay, so
Doing
we're
good.
live. So go ahead and start creating go on your phone and start creating a watch page. I'll do the same thing on my side, and then I'll give an intro to what the show is, just in case for people that haven't seen it. Guys, this is your first time here at a show. What we're doing here is that we're doing it's called the front room, and we're doing the DJ one-on-one interview. And every day we have a different DJ, sometimes musicians, artists. We kind of mix it up into what we're going to be doing. And today we have, you know, my old school friend, and you'll see why when we start talking about him. His name is DJ Dio. Um, for you guys, we're both creating watch parties, and we're on the For Fantastic Events page. He'll put it on his page as well. If you have any questions, we'll answer as well. But David,
Yes.
and that's your real name. Just in case, because there are some people that don't know who you are. What's up, John? How you doing? John Hernandez is on the line already. Um, Tell everybody who you are, and give you a background story about you, please.
Okay, so basically, I'm DJ Dynamico. My real name is David Del Campo. I came into the scene probably sometime around 93, 94-ish. What I mean by the scene, I mean the club scene. When I first came under the name DJ Dynamico was when I had joined Viva Promotions. And rock en español, or rock pop en español scene, was actually beginning to evolve, beginning to blow up. So the way I came into the scene was I was introduced to Luis Ramirez, and at that time he was partners with Leon Dennis. And I had heard that Luis Ramirez was looking for a rock pop en español DJ. And I was already starting to mix the music. I had started collecting some of the rock and the pop CDs that were already known, should I say. So then I talked to Luis on the phone because somebody had given me his phone number. And I had asked him, I'm like, hey, I heard you're looking for a DJ. And he said, yeah. And since he had never heard of me, he's like, can I check you out? So I said, yeah, sure. I'm like, feel free to come by my house. I'll spin live for you there. Live demo, and he liked the way I played, so took off from there.
All right. Before you were DJ Dynamico, were you another DJ name, or did you?
Oh yeah. To go back a little bit more, back around 1985 was when I first started learning how to DJ. I was in sixth grade.
Okay.
And I had some not classmates, but some students. They were a year higher than me. Seventh graders. These two brothers, the Rodriguez brothers. They were DJs. They were DJs for our school. They had Technics gear with a mixer. They were doing our school parties, and I was fascinated by watching them play live. And a lot of the records that they were playing were records that I was already hearing on BMX. So I was starting to become familiar with the music. And after the party, I had talked to them and asked them where were they buying their records and stuff. And they were giving me the names of the stores. And I was going to the stores and starting to pick up some of the popular records at that time. So I think it was around maybe the summer after that. I had bought a pair of used turntables. These were Radio Shack brand, realistic actually, and they had the round pitch. They were belt drive. I had bought the pair for about 150, and I bought a small realistic mixer from Radio Shack. The mixer was new. The turntables were used, and I just started playing around with that gear in my own house until one day. I was in eighth grade, and my parents were already preparing my graduation, and they asked me, "What would you like for your graduation?" And I said, "Well, I would like a professional set of turntables." And they're like, "Okay, how much, and where can we buy them?" And I told him, well, turns out that the owner of Hot Jams, he's selling gear now, which was Andre Lopez. He was selling already techniques. And went with my parents, and they bought the set right there. They bought them at Hot Jams, and I still have them to this day.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I was a house DJ. I was going by the name of Dynamic Dave. Now you know how Dynamico came out later.
Okay.
And I was spinning high school parties, some of the parties at St. Procopius, which is a popular church in Pilsen. They do their outdoor festival, so I think sometime around end of July, their kermesse. And they started taking off as a Pilsen DJ, and then started meeting other DJs. I became a member of the Get Hype Boys, which was a party crew in Pilsen by my house.
Okay.
And I met another DJ. He goes by the name of El Fuego now, but when I met him, he was co-creator. Name is Fernie Torres. And this kid, a few years younger than me, probably 2 or 3 years younger than me, but already be matching real good and scratching. I mean, I was impressed by his scratch, real tight scratch. And we got together and, became part of Get Hype and a little party crew going on, like I said. And later on, I was actually introduced to a DJ that had a name, also from Pilsen, that lived 2 blocks from me, by the name of Baby O. So I started going to Baby O's house, and he started showing me his way of blending and introducing me to other forms of music. Through Baby O, I started to familiarize myself more with new wave music, which was also around. And
new wave or alternative music,
new wave or alternative, correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started, like I said, with the house classics from from BMX at the time. Started doing new wave, and then later on, as I went into the early 90s, I started picking up on pop music, which was evolving. I started picking up the popular CDs from Paulina Rubio, Faye, Monica Naranjo, and rock music with Maná, Caifanes, Café Tacuba, and so forth. And one of the interesting things was there was a nightclub that was very popular for this music. I don't know if you remember the Apollo 2000.
I was just gonna tell you about it, because that's exactly what I remember when I was DJing at Malo's. I remember because it was around the corner from Malo's, which was on 21st and Fairfield, and Apollo 2000 was. And when I drive by, or when we go by there, we would see everybody in the black lipstick, and they were all very dressing. And I didn't know anything about Spanish rock at that time. And I remember asking somebody, hey, what goes on there at the Apollo 2000? They go, oh man, that's Spanish rock. And I'm like, Spanish rock? So yeah, exactly. That was my first known, that a club in Chicago was doing in Chicago, Apollo 2000. I'm glad you mentioned that.
So the reason I brought it up was because one of my friends knew the DJ there, which was DJ Zapata. He still DJs at a couple of places. Ricardo Padilla is his real name. And I actually, when he introduced me to him, he allowed me to go up to the DJ booth. And the funny thing with Ricardo was on a night that probably near the end of the night, he already had a few too many drinks, and he started getting real tipsy. And he was starting to mess up on his blends and everything. And I was telling him, I'm like, dude, your blends are off. You're losing the crowd. And he's like, oh, if I had another DJ, that could help me, And I'm like, you know what? If you allow me to play off your CDs, I could continue the night. And he's like, go ahead. And I finished up the night. And I was like, okay. It just felt good to have the little few minutes of fame. It probably was a 20-minute, 30-minute set tops.
Right.
Out of his CDs, and I got the crowd back. And the funny thing with Apollos is you're not DJing on the stage. You're DJing up in this balcony, dark room, so they don't really know who the DJ is.
Right.
But when I came out, they were like, "Wow, the DJ that was playing right now, he was good and everything." And then my friend goes, "Well, you're looking at him." And they're like, "Oh, David?" They're like, "Yeah, he was playing right now." And they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you played here." And I'm like, "No, I'm not the resident here. It was just a quick get spot." But then they're like, "Man, you know what? You should continue to mix this music because this is what's going to give you a name. There's too many house DJs out there. There's too many DJs of everything else. Try to brand yourself with this music.
So wait, so David, when you said CD, you're playing CDs.
Yeah.
Was it just a normal CD player? Or
yeah, they had remember the dual deck, the Denon?
Okay.
And the original one was the one that didn't even have the jog dials. They had the push buttons. It was the 2000.
Right. Okay.
In fact, I was familiar with that one because I had bought that one too. It was the only one that was out. If you wanted a mix CDs, you had to get that one. So, I had bought that one. I was buying my CDs already around Discount Mall on 26th Street and a few other little shops here and there. And when I did that little set, it was with music that I was already familiar with. So I was able to blend. I already knew the intro, the break, whatever. And, it was fun. And then later on with Luis Ramirez, that's where I really took off as a DJ. He started promoting me as DJ Dynamico. And then the reason I changed my name from Dynamic Dave was because I was mixing Spanish. So I figured, okay, I'll just make the name Spanish. And then just took off from there.
Right. Trust me, I understand that perfectly. what I did by changing the name Spanish, same thing with you. So from the time you had played at the Apollo, or that you wanted to make a name in the Spanish rock,
yeah.
Before you started playing for Luis, did you anywhere else, or was it mostly, like you said, the Spanish rock music? Were you playing it in parties, or?
Yeah, I had done a few parties. I still didn't have the name DJ Dynamico. Okay. I think maybe 2 or 3 flyers. They had still put me under Dynamic Dave.
Okay.
I wasn't playing house or new wave. I was playing the rock, pop in Espanol. So yeah, when with Luis, when he talked to me, he's like, "Hey, I got this place that I do call a Village Cafe, which was actually my first spot with Viva Promotions." And then he got the residency over at I think it was called Tulum. At the time, it was a thing that started changing to other club names. And then later on, we got Infinity, which was Andromedas, right across the street from Convent, and maybe a few other spots here and there.
Well,
and the funny thing is, playing with Luis Ramirez, I got to meet other promoters. Everybody was asking me, "Hey, are you strictly under Viva Promotions? Do you have a contract with them, or can you freelance? And can we put you under other parties?" And I said, "Can you put me under another party, but can you put Viva Promotions?" And they're like, "Yeah, we have no problems with that. There's DJs that we do that for out of respect, and we'll do that."
Right.
So, I had talked to Luis. I'm like, "Hey, these other guys, they want to put me on their flyers, the Euro Productions and, all these other promoters." And he's like, "Yeah, as long as they put you on the Viva Promotions, that's cool, so that they know that you're representing, our entertainment."
Well, me and you had discussed we were trying to remember where me and you met first. And we were kind of trying to figure out that I gave you a mixtape of my my Ritmo Caliente. I think that's
there's also mix.
Right. But I believe that was a time that I was working with Rick Torres and Tully over at a place called Pirámide Azteca.
Yeah.
And I believe that will kind of coincide with the part, because I was doing Thursdays there. If you remember, we were doing Thursdays there. It was doing Thursdays there. And that was right when I left Quinn. I went to Pirámide Azteca. It was called TKOs before, then became Pirámide Azteca. I remember seeing posters all over the place. And Luis and Leon were really good at promoting posters. That was one of the things that I would see flyers as well on the cars on a Thursday night. I would see, Rick and Tully would tell me, "Oh yeah, that's Viva Promotions." So I have a true story, and Leon will confirm it with it, that I walked into Village Cafe. I believe I just released the tape, the mixtape. And I went up to the door and obviously somebody's asking me for, $10 or I don't know how much it was. And I says, yeah, can I talk to the promoters, Viva promoters? I remember, and nothing to say bad about Lewis, but Lewis was kind of like, yeah, what do you want? What do you want? It's $10, like kind of like that.
Yeah.
And I went and explained to him, I'm a DJ. My DJ is not what you guys do. I do salsa merengue because that's what I got into. I'm just curious as to what you guys do here as a promotion. And I see the flyer, I'm impressed. So Leon, I guess, heard me say this to Lewis, and Leon turned around and said, hey, come follow me. And I think he took me around to basically, it was, if I'm not mistaken, there was, I believe downstairs was you and Pablo Punk Out Gonzalez. I think you guys were downstairs. It was 2 floors of music. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Most of the nights, the rock and the alternative was actually upstairs.
Okay.
Downstairs was more high energy, house. I think that was the main music. They may have done a little bit of new wave as well downstairs when we were doing rock or pop music, but that was mostly the
right. And I think where I first met you, I mean, I not meet you, but just like, oh, this is the DJ Dynamico, kind of like, hey, this is, and I think it was Pablo DJ. I forgot the other guys' names that were there, but I remember meeting both of you guys there, both you, Pablo and what you call it. And I was impressed. I was impressed because the crowd was like, wow, this is a different crowd. It's not a crowd that, because since I was DJing at Quinn 2 and going over to Pirámide Azteca, it was completely a different crowd than the house crowd. Yeah. And I was intrigued by it. I think you came to Pirámide Azteca, I think because you were invited by Alex Perez, if not mistaken, I think, or
there was Alex that had it. He had Fridays. Alex Gonzalez, Alex Atomic G.
Okay.
And a friend of mine, Andy Lopez, he spun with me at 720.
Okay, yes.
He was also there, and he introduced me to Alex, and he's like, hey, this is DJ Dynamico. And he's like, oh, yeah, want to do a guest spot? And I'm like, yeah, cool, So I did a guest spot there, and then all of a sudden, the guest spot turned into a residency. I was there every Friday with the guys, spinning there, and yeah, it may have been on one of those nights that we
right.
actually.
Well, it kind of coincides with what happened because I was doing vinyl all the time, and I remember they had the vinyl on that second floor of Pirámide Azteca, and Alex ended up buying the Pioneer 500 too. That was the one with the flip, and I want you to check this out. And I've never mixed with CDs before. And he showed me basically what he was doing with his cumbias, because that's what he played, mostly cumbias. Yeah. He goes, oh, I can create breaks with this. And then, and it kind of opened everything for as a CD DJ now. And I just remember that's where I went and made that tape. So it kind of coincides about that time. And I'm like I said, it was all about that maybe 3-month period that I walked into Village Cafe. It was about the time when I think you guys were working with, they're on Friday. And then that's how we kind of met. Now, after Viva Promotions, I know that Lewis and Leon took it to other places as well. I know Village Cafe told them. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Where was the other places that you started playing at to?
Well, like I said, there were a few other clubs that they had. It's hard to remember names because a lot of them weren't long term. Village Cafe did have its run until it finally closed down. But then I remember we had Infinity. We were there on Fridays, and then we were actually from Friday. We had both nights, Friday and Saturday. Infinity later on turned into Andromedas, and I think we were still there in the beginning, before Leon took it over, and then he became SAP Entertainment.
Right.
After that, I think what had happened was the thing with Viva Promotions was kind of like drifting off already. V5 became the big name. They had the biggest club, which was Convent. And I had gotten an offer from Tequila. The way I was at Tequila was I went to do a spot. I think it may have been for Euro. And Percy, the manager, came up to me and he's like, where are you playing at? And I said, well, you know, I'm with Viva Promotions. He's like, okay, I've heard of them, but where's your club residency? And at that time, like I said, it wasn't something that was steady. So I had told him, I'm like, hey, you know what? If you're looking for a resident DJ to play every weekend, I'm available. So he's like, oh yeah, cool. I mean, let's do this. Let's start off with Saturdays, because right now Fridays I got house night. Let's do Saturdays and go from there. At that time, Rocco Mix, who was the previous resident DJ, had gone to Palladium, and he had his brother Rico Suave took it there. But from what I heard, he wasn't really showing interest in Tequila anymore. He was just kind of like holding the job, but not really feeling it. So those are little things that Percy had noticed. And also he wasn't really focusing on rock pop. He was doing more tropical, because I guess that's Rico style. And he wanted to bring rock pop back. So he had talked to me. He's like, hey, you know what? I want to bring Tequila back as the old rock pop nightclub. And we'll promote it and everything. At that time, I was already on the radio mixing for Wojo.
Okay.
Not the mix show on Saturday nights. So I had got him a contact from Wojo, and they're like, yeah, you know what? Let's do some commercials. And we'll even say that one of our DJs is now the resident DJ there, and we'll even work on some remotes or whatever. And it took off. It went well. Started packing again, and I was actually at Tequila's for about 3 years.
Okay.
Club close. And I was there Saturdays, and then they started giving me Fridays as well.
Yeah.
So I was there both nights.
So after Tequila's, and again, we're going to say it coincides a lot of things, because when Rocco Mix had Palladium, I had made my mixtapes and CDs, and I think I had a run for about 5 years that I made my mixtapes and CDs.
Yeah,
and the owner, the Ritmo Caliente, Merengue Caliente, you name it, all the Caliente series. And that when I was DJing over at Pirámide Azteca, that's how I met the owner of basically the building, which was Ruben Pasmino.
Yeah.
He owned Canada, the cachet that was on top of, that was below Palladium.
Right.
And I was DJing for him when he owned Infinity as well. He owned Dramas and merengue aspect of it. And hence I was the merengue DJ, took off pretty big. And I had a pretty good following. So I was doing both. Remember, I was doing the Tuesday night boxing for those Tuesday night boxing fans. You've been there on that Tuesday night.
I dropped a couple of times with the guys.
Yeah. And then Friday nights, I would be DJ over Thursday nights over at Tropicana, but Friday and Saturday, sometimes we'll go back and forth to Andromedas or Infinity and stuff like that. But I do remember Leon and doing Friday nights over there as well. And one of the things that I remember that Ruben was always pushing me, and Ruben Pesmino, he was kind of like, oh yeah, the guy's successful at Convent, meaning V5 and stuff like that. And I always used to be like, well, I don't want to compete with V5 because V5 has their crowd. Let's create another crowd completely. And I think that's when I had just finished my 5th CD, and Ivan Fernandez and Henry Cardenas, that was CFA, had approached me and said, listen, the numbers had dropped at Palladium substantially.
Yeah.
And they asked me if I wanted to take over Palladium. And that was Rocco Mix's event. And I says, well, here's a concept. And that was the concept that I had with the 4 DJs. And you had reminded me, I guess I approached you first, right? I approached you to say, hey, I got a concept, DJs. You know, and hence, and the concept was try to do something, because V5 had DJs. Remind me who were the 5 DJs that they had. What was one of them?
they had if I remember right, they had Incognito, Rick Guerrero, they had Diablo. Trying to remember if Galletas was
Yes, yes, galletas, galletas. Yes, yes.
and who was the other one? Let me see.
Was it Nando?
No, Nando was not part of the.
No, 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 no. Okay. I wonder if
Okay.
anybody else knows.
Yeah, I remember because I had the CD when they first came out with and each DJ had their mix. I remember
Right.
the CD was pretty hot. Oh, Sado maybe. I think,
Okay.
well, one of those guys. I know they were when V5 formed.
Right.
It was around that time.
Well, and they were rock alternativo. That was their format and stuff like that. And so my concept was, I don't want to do rock pop alternativo. I want a Spanish rock DJ, but I want an alternative DJ as well. I want a cumbia, norteña banda DJ as well, but I also want a dance and progressive and house and Spanish pop. And then obviously I was the tropical, which is more merengue, salsa, bachata. Bachata it wasn't really big, but it was what kind of, and I, pardon me?
You said the bachata was starting to come up. You already had Monchi and Alejandra. And
right. And I thought it would work. You turned me down. Yeah. You turned me down because I believe you had tequilas. I think that was the thing. So I ended up with Alex Perez, DJ Dracula, DJ Viento, DJ Fantasma, and me. We were the original Los Cuatro Fantásticos and created Los Cuatro Fantásticos. I remember we made the pill, number 4 and stuff like that. And we took Palladium from the 250 people, I think the numbers, and we took it to almost like a huge success.
Yeah.
I believe it was probably a year later when you got involved in coming to DJ for us.
Yeah, it may have been. I remember after Tequilas, they were looking for a rock pop DJ over at Club 720.
Okay.
At that time was still ran and owned by Ed Tunney.
Okay.
The second floor, before it was 4 floors, it was 3. The second floor was more of a pool room, more of a chill room. It didn't have a sound system or a DJ, but they had already, I guess, got the licensing and everything to make a dance room and a DJ room. And I remember I think it may have been Edgar Marroquin that reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to spin rock and Espanol music there, because Ed Tunney wanted to do samba music and all these other things, and it wasn't going to work. Rock pop was still hot. It was still going on. So I said, you know what? It doesn't hurt to give it a try. Let's go for it. And the pay was good. He was offering good pay. So I took it, and it took off. It actually became a success. So when I talked to Ed Tunney, I had asked him, I'm like, what are the hours? And he's like, well, we're open 8 o'clock, but you don't have to start your floor till 10. And Fridays, I think actually first it took off with Saturdays. He's like, it's going to go till 5 a.m. And I said, wow, that's a lot of hours. Not saying that I couldn't do it, but I'm like, to play rock and Espanol music all night, that's going to be a little hard. And I'm like, but I know we could try to change it around. So he's like, okay, I got a floor that's hip hop already, and I got a floor that's salsa merengue, and I got a floor that's house music and old school. I don't want the same music repeating on your floor. So if you could come up with different ideas, you're welcome to it. And when I was DJing with Andy over at Pyramid, I said, you know what? You got a lot of this, not old school house, but the new club music, or underground and that kind of stuff. Let's do that. I'll do rock pop. You do some underground, and then we'll see what else we could bring in there. Maybe some cumbias or something, And yeah, it took off. And then actually what helped us out was reggaeton was starting to come in. So we started doing reggaeton on our foot. Okay. And yeah, that run with Ed Tunney lasted about 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, it went from 99 to about 03. And then after that, Ed Tunney pulled the plug on 720.
Well, not by his choice.
Not by his choice, because issues with, he wasn't the building owner. The lease was already going up. He saw it as a difficult move to keep running it.
Right.
And so yeah, he gave it a close.
That's when 720 first closed down. I remember.
Yeah.
So I think that was when we brought you in, and then you were playing with days and sometimes Saturdays, if I'm not mistaken. We had Club PM going on at the same time.
Yeah, when I first joined you, Ricky Agujita was, I think, already with you, and then me and Ricky still kept in touch, and he was telling me that he was mentioning me to you a lot, and you're like, you know what, just bring him in and see what he could do. And I said, okay, well, you know what, I could do reggaeton, he already know that I could do rock pop, but I think Fridays rock pop really wasn't the thing. Reggaeton was already huge.
Right.
We noticed that we could play almost reggaeton all night and the dance floor would stay packed. So I did my set with reggaeton because that's what I wanted to do as a DJ. I'm like, I don't want to change it to something and then the floor is going to die down.
Right.
If reggaeton is working, let me keep going with reggaeton, because I knew Ricky was going to do merengue and bachata because that's a specialty. And we just worked it out from there. And I think the main three DJs that you had on that floor were myself, Agujita, and Eclipse.
Right. Danny.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, because I mean, I remember it was, I was the type of guy, I mean, I DJ'd, but I didn't DJ. I was kind of like, okay, let me look in the room. Okay, then they're doing good. And then I walk out to the other room. Is that room? Because we had 4 rooms at one point. I remember we had the dirty word room, we had the main room, we had the basement, and then upstairs as well. So we had like basically 4 rooms. And it was even the creation of the dirty word room, which was the rock room, like the true rock with the live bands and stuff like that. I remember that was like, it was like, let's try that. And I think that's kind of what, and for instance, I'll give you, for instance, I don't think I've ever said, hey, let's plan this and this works. I think it's more like anything that I've done is like, let's try it. And if it sticks, then we'll do it. That's kind of what I think that successful business person decisions and stuff like that. Because not to say, if you say no, you just never know.
That's right.
Yeah, you gotta try it. And I think that's where, like you told me about you, I never was going to say no. I was going to say, okay, let's try him. Let's see how he works. Honestly, I don't make that decision. I let the crowd make the decision. And if the crowd likes you, hey, guess what? He's hired. That's, that's how.
Working with the group of guys was cool. Everybody that you had spinning for you at the time was cool. I already had met the Bravos. I know the Bravos came on later. You had a DJ Fuego as your rock DJ. Viento he wasn't part of the team anymore, so you had made your changes. Eclipse was, like I said, he was still around with Ricky, and then there were times you even brought in. I remember, was it Alan Badmick's Boyd?
Yep, I remember that.
Him, and then a few other guys, but it was cool hanging around with everybody. It was like family,
Right, and it was a good chord, guys. Honestly, it was good chords. We all had our differences in music wise, but I just remember everybody kind of, one thing I do remember is that, let's say there were 4 guys not DJing, but I remember everybody was like on this balcony level, just watching and listening and looking and stuff like that. There was, well, I could do better than that. There was none of that behind anybody's back. I remember Dynamico was going to school for his chiropractor. He would bed for, if we had some back issues.
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry, go in the back. And it's a little secret from Dynamico, from Eclipse.
Exactly.
he would practice with us, cracking our bones in the back and stuff like that. So I remember those were fun times and stuff like that. Then Club PM closed down.
Correct.
And then we created Volcan.
Yeah.
So you came with us, right? You came with us at Volcan for a bit?
Actually, when you guys went to Volcan, I was at Hacienda Tecalitlan. I was over there with Rocco Mix.
Okay.
With
Right.
that one, I actually spun there about for, I'd say maybe a good 2 years or a little bit over 2 years. The owner's son, which was Danny, he had actually booked me for a New Year's event there, and he liked the way I played. And he had asked Rakomix, he was his resident DJ. He said, "Okay, if I keep Dynamico as a guest resident, he'll do his 1 hour spot, but you're still the man here." And he's like, "Yeah, cool, And yeah, me and Rakomix had always gotten along, and I would do my hour set and so forth. But yeah, I was there every Saturday, so I was there while you guys were at Volcan.
That was pretty big place. I mean, that was I remember there was a lot of people that went to that place. It was very. I was on Ashland and Chicago Avenue. For that's where it was Ashland, Chicago. So there was a crowd that was going there, and we were at Volcan, which was on 25th and Kedzie.
Yeah.
And I remember that was the time when we had decided to we did a combination of the 3 rooms. We had the main floor, and then what Eddie V was telling me, that we had the reggaeton and the bachata, and then the downstairs we had the Spanish rock, which was fuego and stuff like that. Spanish rock going and stuff like that. I remember that was one of the things that kept it going and stuff like that. Then we had a little issue with the owner. If you remember, we brought Pitbull there and stuff like that. And then Los Cuatro Fantásticos, or at that time I had changed it to 4 Fantastic Events. They were getting us out of there, and they brought in V5 in there to replace us, which was no problem, because I had already talked to Ed Tunney from 720. I had already, hey, 720 is going to open up. What they didn't understand is that when we started over at Volcan, everybody that came to our event was 18. We were there for 3 years.
Yep.
And the really ideal thing about it is that when they decided to kick us out, to say, okay, you're no longer going to be here at Volcan, I started 720. So all 18-year-olds, what was cool, I just turned 21. And for the first time, they, and if you remember, you were there the first opening night.
Yeah, because at that time, what happened was Ed Tunney had brought it back, but he wasn't the full owner. He had business partner now, which was Mike.
Mike, right.
And I forgot the other guy.
Steve,
yeah,
great.
Steve, and Cheeseball was there again.
Right,
so
right.
Actually, the way I came back was Agujita had told me, hey, talk to Cheeseball. 720's reopening. See if you can still make it in, because supposedly they got their DJs from the old guys. I think it was just Ricky Agujita, and I forgot who else. I don't even think Wesley was coming back at that time. Either way, yeah. So they gave me a shot, and they kept me there. So I was moving around, yeah. And then later on, the Perez brothers came on board, and we had Beto Rocks and other.
I remember. Well, here was the interesting about it, because I remember the meeting that I had with Ed Tunney, and it was Mike. And Ed Tunney remembered me from back in the days and wanted me, but I told Ed Tunney, I said, listen, I have 20 DJs that I work with. I go, I don't want to DJ. If you remember, I took a hiatus of the actual DJing. But where my focus is, if you remember, I had a huge mailing list. I had 125,000 emails. So for me, it was all about marketing and promoting and stuff like that. And I had just, and I was doing well with my marketing and stuff like that. So for me, I remember telling you, Ed, I said, Ed, let me stay at the front door. Let me handle the list. Let me be the that was at the door. Obviously you guys are going to do what you guys are going to do, but as long as I've been in the business, if there's problems or there's somebody I know that's not going to be good for the person coming in, please let me say something. I'll say, and I think that's where Ed trusted me. We opened that Labor Day week. If I'm mistaken, it was that Labor Day weekend. We opened that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you were there that weekend.
Okay.
We had 1,800 people that Thursday. That Friday, we had 2,400 people. That Saturday, we had 3,600 people. And that Sunday, Labor Day Sunday, we had 1,800 people. I remember the count, and we were, and because we, working from 8 o'clock until 4 o'clock in the morning, 4 days a week, we were beat tired. But that was the discussion me and Ed Tunney, if you're on here, you know that discussion, what we said. And I said, Ed, there has never been a club that did this ever before, meaning 4 days with this many people. If you do the math on it, you're talking almost 10,000 people. Yeah. I go, this, don't let it blow away. Like this was a one-time thing. But we knew what the problem, and we all seen the problems that were happening because Steve, the other partner, had different ideas and stuff like that. And that was like, oh my God. So I remember we were always in conflict. We would always be in our meeting, and Cheeseball, I remember Cheeseball, if he's online, Caesar, when we talk, we would have these, what do you mean you want to get rid of this guy? What do you mean you want to get rid of this guy? This guy has a following. This is important. Maybe you don't like him, but he's important to the scene. We have, and I remember those were, and you asked me, we talked about it before, that I was always in this meeting defending the DJs, always, because it was like, oh, where can we cut this? Where can we cut that? And it was tough because I would be like, oh my God, how can you cut somebody if these guys are making you money? I mean, it just didn't make sense. And they would look some, and that's sometimes the problem that I've seen with a lot of club owners. They get greedy.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate. If I can say that there were a lot of club owners, there's a few club owners that I could say that they really, and I remember Ed Tunney was that type of guy who would go to bat for you, and he was always supporting you and stuff like that. He was a tough boss, and I remember that. He was a tough boss. He didn't let bullshit go by, but he would tell you, hey, do this or you're out of here.
Yeah.
He was tough, and I remember that about Tunney. And I remember Tunney like telling Mike and Steve, you guys are going to screw this up. And unfortunately they did. So at 720, I believe you lasted there for not that long. It was maybe a 2-year period or something, a year?
Oh, 2 or close to 2 years.
Right. And then what happened after that? Where did it happen after the 720?
Okay, so here's the funny thing. When I was over at Hacienda Tecalitlán, working with Racomix, one time Danny asked me, are you free on Thursdays? And I go, yeah, Thursdays I don't spend anywhere. Why? And he goes, I'm going to add Thursdays, but it's not going to be you on Racomix. I got a promoter coming in. And I go, well, who's this promoter? And he told me Stylist Entertainment. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know what they were about. And I said, well, you want me to DJ with them? He goes, no. I want you to be the light jockey and take care of the sound, because I don't want nobody blowing out the sound. I want you to manage the sound and the lights.
Okay.
They have their own DJs. And I'll pay you this much. And I said, okay, you know what? That's cool. So I came in on Thursday, and there was a long line across Ashland Avenue going almost into Chicago. And I said, damn, where are these guys? But I noticed the crowd was...
Hey, that Dynamico, excuse me, Cheeseball's online right now saying, so go ahead.
So going back to Stylist, I noticed they had a long line. I said, wow, these promoters are good. But as I'm looking at the crowd, they were young and they were gay. I'm like, oh, I mean, personally, I don't have a problem with gay people, you know. So as I was getting familiar with the promoters, which was Alex and Wadi, I was talking to them. I'm like, wow, where you guys come from? They're like, well, we actually used to do mambos, but things didn't work out at Mambo, so now we're here. But we have a strong following. I think maybe they had about 500-600, and this was their opening. So the resident DJ was DJ V, and it was the first time I had met him.
Victor, yes.
Yeah, Victor Albion. So they had this guy named George. He was George Guzman. He was their opening DJ, and then DJ V would just take off with the night. So one day I had asked Wadi, I'm like, hey, you know what? Since I'm here every Thursday, is it okay if I get a guest spot? They're like, yeah, sure. You know, because I already knew what the scene was like and the music that they liked. So Wadi heard me mix and Alex heard me mix, and they're like, hey, you know what? If you want every week, do a 30-minute guest spot right before DJ V goes on, and we'll go from there. We'll start promoting you. So when they lost Hacienda, they weren't doing Hacienda no more, then they moved over to Sangria and Radio Star, which was 2 rooms. And they had told me, well, now we're going to go to 4 o'clock because they got a 4 o'clock license, but because it's 2 rooms, we want you to work on the Sangria side. And feel out the crowd. We're not going to tell you what to play. Feel them out and see what you could come up with. So I noticed that George, who was opening over at Radio Star, was playing more top 40 clubbish music. So I was opening up with hip hop, and it was working out. I mean, I was packing over Sangria. And then when DJ V came in, I was switching over to tropical music. I started playing merengue, bachata, salsa.
And this is all for the gay.
Yeah, this is for the gay crowd. So that worked out well. Well, later on, with like what you said, with the 720 thing, and I wasn't there no more, I was only DJing Thursday nights. And I wanted more nights at other places, but I wasn't finding anything. So one day the Bravo brothers, I think it was Robert, he's like, hey, are you still looking for a club residency? And I go, yeah. And he goes, well, an owner of a club is looking for a DJ. And I go, well, which club? And he goes, if I tell you, you're probably going to crack up. And I go, why would I crack up? He goes, because it's a gay club. I'm like, I have no problems playing at gay clubs because I'm already playing for a gay crowd. And he goes, okay, well, the club that's looking for a DJ is like Wave on 26. I had never been there. I had heard of it, but I said, what do I got to lose? Let's see how much it pays or whatever. And turns out that the owner of La Cueva is Ruben Lechuga, which is the brother of the old manager over at Volcan. I don't know what his first name was, but Lechuga over there.
Yes.
He was the manager over at PM, I think.
Yes, he was the manager. Yeah, he was upstairs. He was the manager.
When they told me that was Lechuga's brother, and I'm like, oh, I know your brother, and I spoke from him. He goes, yeah, actually, he's the one that told me that you're good, and I'm looking for a DJ. And I said, well, how does it work here? And he goes, well, I got 4 nights, and you would be handling out 4 nights. And I said, oh, man, well, I got a residency on Thursdays. Can I do some other nights? He goes, no, if you want it, you got to take out 4 nights. And I go, what's the pay? And when he told me the pay, I'm like, it wasn't like I said, wow, you know, it was decent. I'm not going to say he was underpaying me. It was decent for 4 nights, but I knew that was going to be a lot of hours. And I'm like, because this club is like 10 to 4 and then Saturday's 10 to 5. And I was going to do it by myself. So I'm like, man, but I could really use the money and this and that. I told the owner, you know what? Let me try it, see if it works. So I started spinning there. And because he wanted me there on Thursdays, I couldn't DJ with stylists anymore. I had to give them the name. And they took it well. I think I got replaced by, they had DJ Cool Carlos in the beginning, and then DJ Ecstasy. DJ Ecstasy came on board.
Yeah, Julio. Yeah.
So, yeah, I was at that club for 4 years. And then I live right now. There's a bar down, well, I can't say down the street, a few blocks away from my house called Mariana's. And they told me they were looking for DJ there because the resident DJ, who was DJ Val, you may have heard of her, Valerie.
Yeah, Val.
Yeah, she was there, I don't know, 15 years there, I guess.
Yep.
They had told me that she wasn't working no more, that she had resigned, and they were looking for DJs. So
I think she had some health problems or something like that. She needed to, to stop and stuff like that.
The reasons, but
right, I remember.
This place is 5 minutes from my house.
Right.
I'm like, okay. So I went to talk.
Shout out to Val, man. Love her to death, man. She's
I did see her spend a couple of times there. She
right, beautiful woman. Oh my God, beautiful person. Yeah. So yeah, just.
So I talked to Mariana, and Mariana told me that it's just an after-hours bar. I mean, after-hours DJ time. That she wanted me there 3 hours, which at that time I was starting off on Saturday. She wanted me there at 2 o'clock in the morning and mix till 5. And I'm thinking, this is cool, because at that time I was also doing mobiles. And I said, wow, I could do the mobiles. Most mobiles in at 12 and still get some extra bucks out of this place. So yeah, I've been at Mariana's for about 7 years now.
Okay.
So I'm still there, the resident DJ there. Hopefully go back once COVID-19 is done. And for the past 3 years, I've also been working with Rocco Mix's company, which is Pink Noise.
Yes.
He gets bookings, and Rocco Mix, we talked 3 years ago. He was looking for more DJs because his company was expanding. He was getting a lot of parties, and he's like, hey, Dynamico, this is what I could pay you, It might be too little for you, but this is what I could pay you. And then I said, Rocco, I'm not greedy, bro. To me, it's good because it's plug and play. He sets up, his company sets up all the sounds. He'll send me the program through email. Hey, you got a wedding, you got a quinceañera, whatever. These are the songs that you want. To me, it's easy, because I do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you gotta love that.
Yeah. And I don't gotta set up equipment. When I get my own gigs, I gotta set up. It's
right.
Yeah. So been with Pink Noise, still going on Mariana. So those are what I got going on. And every time here and there, places like Bartenders, which is run. I got a friend of mine, Julio Cesar Lopez. He's done events there. Diamond Boy Dito and Philip Delamore have done events there.
Right.
This guy named Antonio, he goes by Vampiro. Maz Music, he does events there. They book me there sometimes at, like I said, at Bar 10, and a few other little spots here and there. They'll ask me.
Well, we kind of debated something that we didn't talk about what your past, and I have to bring it up.
Okay, cool.
Is that Viva Promotion, they came out with a mixtape called La Mejor de Rock, and everything.
That was one of the first mixtapes. So let me give a little history of the mixtape. When I was first invited to go on a mixtape, the original one was called the Viva Promotions Classic Rock, Pop, and Espanol mixtape.
Right, that was Pablo Ponca Gonzalez as well on that.
No, actually, it was Marco Hernandez.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was
the new wave mix, and I did half rock and half pop.
Okay, that's right.
That cassette became so successful that Louis sold out that he wanted to keep doing more, but he wanted to come up with a focus on rock names. So he's like, "What do you think of La Mejor de Rock?" But on this one, I want you to do side A, which is going to be pop. And DJ Duende is going to do the rock side, which is going to be side B. And I said, yeah, cool. So we did it. We did it actually at Juan 2 Big Studio. That was recorded.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was success. It was a success. So he's like, hey, I want to do part 2, but this time Dynamico, I want you to do both sides. And the reason he gave me both sides was nothing that he had against Duende, but there were times that Duende couldn't make his studio time to record his mix. So it kind of dragged. And then he asked me, would you be interested in doing the rock mix? I'm like, yeah, cool. So I did that one, volume 2, and then years later, volume 3. So there were 3 La Mejor Rock, three mixtapes. And then years later, I had done one that I was going to put out myself. But he's like, hey, I want you to do one more mix for me. But this one, you know what? Let's maybe come up with a compilation of the best of La Mejor Rock 1, 2, and 3. And I go, well, since it's all energy, Spanish pop is called energía digital. That's the name I was gonna give it. He's like, yeah, cool. So I made the mix. He still put it under Viva Promotions, and that was that. So it was 4 mixtapes for them. And I think after that one, Dave Soto had asked me if I wanted to do a mixtape for him under Europrod, and I said, yeah. I actually did 2. I did a Spanish pop rock, and he called it Bailando con Dynamico. And I did a merengue one. I did a merengue one. He called that one Merengue Swing.
Okay.
Good for him. So those were my mixtapes. And when I was at Piramides, I did one also for Alex. He was under Mystic Illusions, and I did one called Ilusiones for Alex, which worked out too. So that was another mixtape of mine.
So are you aware that Louis? Okay, so Spanish rock, that the Mejor de Rock Part 1, Part 2. It went into kind of a, I guess the sales weren't as big as they were when it first came out. That was. Yeah,
I think they were focused just on a few thousand copies or whatever. So yeah. Then the story that I heard, you had told me that you had bought the mixes from Viva and you were going to start distributing them yourself.
Correct.
And you're the one who took it to another level later. You marketed it the way it should have been marketed from the beginning.
Right, and if you remember, every time I came, and let's be honest with you, when I did my marketing for my first one, and I did my marketing for second one, or marketing my third one, then it was the third one was called Más Caliente. That was the one that kind of like blew up everywhere. That was at the same time that I got the masters of Mejor de Rock Part 1 and 2. Then Telly had one as well, and then I was working with others. So I had a library that I would basically go in there and say, hey guys, you know what? I got, hey. So if I walked into a store, it wasn't just I'm selling my mixtape. I had a library of mine, yours, or Dynamicos and stuff like that. But I remember all of a sudden, here comes the sales of the Rock Part 1 and 2. And I was Dynamico, it was a resurgence. And I remember, wow, the Spanish rock pop is doing well for me. And I remember that was good. That was cool. I remember that was, and that always kept my interest in you, because I would see the sales, obviously, of the mixed CDs, and because I would say, hey, listen, the CD's selling well, so the DJ's got to do well, that, and hence there's a following and stuff like that. So that was always for me a business decision that I wanted to do with you, as far as a DJ and stuff like that. So so what would you consider in your DJ career, your highlight? What would you say like is like the wow factor of like in your time that you've been in this industry?
Well, when I first started as a DJ, I had dreams, I had goals, and they were to become a radio DJ, which the doors opened for me with Wojo, and then later on with Viva FM and La Calle. So those 3 radio stations. So that did it. I wanted to be on mixtapes, because I would go buy mixtapes myself from other DJs, and that happened as well, And the other highlight was mixing at the big clubs in Chicago, and that happened as well. So I would say I achieved a lot of the goals that I had. One of the major things mixing with the radio was I got to mix at festivals that featured concerts. So when I was with La Calle, they had asked me if I wanted to go DJ at Plaza Garibaldi, and they were bringing in Alexis El Fido and Nach, and it was some reggaeton, a little bachata, I think. Who was the guy that sang that song with the ponytail? The one, Ventu, Dominic Marche, he was there. So.
Yeah.
And then mixing for your events, you brought in Hombres Hey, you brought in, who else do I remember? Caifanes, Enanitos Verdes, and being a DJ at those events, that was cool, because I got a chance to meet the bands and take photos and, the signatures, and, get them to sign my CDs and all that. So all that I just mentioned were big highlights, I would say, in my DJ career.
That's, well, I mean, that's the, I think for me, like one of the things that I could say that was cool is I've been always that type of guy. Put your money where it is, and if you remember, I bought Lorena, the reggaeton. I bought. I would bring in these artists into Palladium, they do concerts, and there was Minerva. There was always these, these different I would bring in. I remember that was for me that was the highlight, of the Spanish rock pop era. And I remember it was great because all these artists were actually really cool. I've never seen somebody who was a jerk or anything like that, but they were cool. And I think for all of us, just like you being a DJ, and that's one of the common denominator that I could honestly say with DJs is that we love to see, as an artist, as a musician, as a DJ, we'd like to see people's joy that they're enjoying the what you call it, the music that we're playing and the music that we're good. If where do you think, and guys, because it's already going to be almost 9 o'clock, so I don't know if you paid attention to the time. Where do you think this whole thing is going to go? What do you think is going to happen next with this whole COVID and you mentioned, because I know you have a regular job, you do a daytime job as well, work for the city, if I'm not mistaken. That's what you still work for the city. You're essential worker, so thank you for that. So what do you think is going to happen with the industry is concerned? What do you think?
I think when the city, the state is ready to reopen, and it gets to the point of the bar scene, the nightclub scene, they're going to have their safety precautions. They're going to open with making the places that are safe. So I would say they're going to limit capacities. They're still going to focus on social distancing. They're probably going to want you to, when they check you for ID, they may check your temperature. They may even require a face mask to come into the place, which is going to make it uncomfortable because we're going to want to drink. So we're probably going to have to pull it, whatever the case might be.
A little straw.
until COVID has a vaccine, COVID is pretty much done or handled like the regular flu, but that's going to take time. But I think it's probably going to start off like that with, safety measures and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. What about the live streaming? Are you still live streaming? Are you doing anything?
Here's the thing. I have not done one live stream yet. It's kind of hard for me because I got a 1-year-old. And sometimes I do plan. I just opened up a Twitch account about two weeks ago, and I downloaded OBS. So I did a little practice on it. But when I do go live stream, I want to, first of all, go back to my roots. I want to do a vinyl set. I want to do maybe some old school and some new wave, only because the live streams that I see right now are almost all controller. You rarely see vinyl. You see Serato vinyl, but you don't see that much original vinyl. I mean,
I know there's a big insurgent right now, and maybe that's a little different from what you would. There's a doing like with the salsa market, tropical market. They're doing original vinyl, and I know there's like they have it's called Cold Beat. They're doing all these vinyl DJs. Basically spending almost 24 hours. They're doing all these vinyl DJs. And they're going back to the roots of the vinyl stuff. And I know Carlos Wate does a lot of vinyl. There's that resurgence of vinyl. And I agree with you. It is different from the controller and stuff like that. I don't know if you kept up with what I was doing. I was doing the lunchtime mix here. And if in case nobody's heard it this morning, was my last live stream DJ wise.
Okay.
Just because of the fact that there's so many DJs are not getting, Facebook is preventing it. And it's not Facebook, but the algorithms and stuff like that. Sure. It's becoming frustrating.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing more Twitch, the same thing. They're starting to attack those as the algorithms and stuff like that. So it's becoming more and more difficult. And I am that type of person. And then just like you as a DJ, I want to give music to people. That was why we do what we do.
Correct.
But it's tough if you're DJing, let's say at a club, and you got somebody unplugging your every time you're about to DJ, it gets really frustrating. So you'll be like what the, and that's what's happening with Facebook and the algorithms and stuff like that. So I as of today, I stopped doing my lunchtime. Like, I'm not going to do it anymore, just because it's so frustrating. It's just kind of frustrating. God bless to the people who are doing it and they're able to do it. I'm not saying that that you got to follow suit, but I'm sure that's going to be the realm of it now. And to me, it's like this music. You say, with your classics, going back to the roots, I think that's where one of the things I was talking to another DJ today is that because of what's happening all across the board, I don't care how big any promoter was. I don't care how small promoter was. I don't care DJ name or no DJ name. I think everybody's at the same plane now. Everybody's, and when the doors open up, as one of the guys say, it's going to be like horse races. We're all going to be lined up and ready to go. And, and I think the guys with the talents are the ones who are going to come get positive from this. Any want to say to anybody as far as shouts out to, people, because you got quite a few people that logged in and view this.
Okay. I haven't got a chance to see who's on. I will later, but one of the things I do want to mention is I got a Mixcloud page under DJ Dynamico, and I got about 90 mixes. I put even Lo Mejor en Racks are there. They got some radio mixes that I've done from Viva and La Calle and other genres. I mean, I've been in the mobile scene. I've done banda, I've done cumbia, I've done norteño, I've done quebradita. So if anybody's interested, want to check out those mixes, they're there. My latest mixes I did a bachata mix probably back like in February. So I can put out a lot of the new stuff from Mel Santos and Prince Royce and all that. And my latest pop I did last month in March. And I just did some of the latest remixes that I've picked up from the record pools that I'm still in. I made that one maybe about 60, 70 minutes. So if anybody's interested in checking those out, go to mixcloud.com/DJ Dynamico and check them out.
Oh, cool, very cool. So guys, that's it for the Front Room Show. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
thank you very much, Dynamico. Hey, have a good one, and we'll see. Any more comments you want to do? David will read them. All right.
Well, who's on? If you don't mind telling me.
Oh my! You said Cheeseball. There was Danny, obviously. There was Ricardo Sandoval. There was Julio, Edwin, Ed Dog as well. Albert Morales as well. Let's see, Ricardo Sandoval, Pablo Paca Gonzalez as well. So, Tony Segura, Arctic DJ. It's just Saul Ramirez.
Yeah, everybody you just mentioned, big shout outs to there. Also, big shout outs to all the DJs that are live streaming, that are on Facebook pushing it. Right now, nobody has club gigs, so everybody's out there promoting themselves. So when that time comes, they could possibly get in the scene if they don't have any residencies or whatever. So shout outs to everybody. I myself, I'm ready. If things happen in the summer or even in the fall, hopefully I'll still get a chance to take on some of the bookings that I have for that time. I got bookings with Pink Noise as well. Check me out over at Mariana's once it reopens, and any other promotions that come my way, I'll post them on Facebook under my Dynamico page, and hopefully just continue to keep going.
All right, David.